If you've been thinking about wanting to start a podcast but not sure where to get started, I have some news for you. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast as well with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hi gang, Donna here. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Joanna Vargas. Joanna had this dream, call it a vision if you want. When she was 11 years old, she was watching Paula Abdul on the American Music Awards, and she decided at that moment she saw herself owning a dance studio. Well, as she grew up, she made that dream a reality. However, the dream kind of turned dark at a certain point. But it's still a story with a happy ending. Hi, Joanna. How are you doing today?
Hi, Donna. I'm really good. A little excited and flabbergasted, like running around. And I'm really excited to talk to you because I love these. I love to get down and dirty with the, like the realism. Let's get real. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome. That's what this podcast is all about, being real. So I know what your Better Two moment is, but let's take you back before that, because the Better Two moment is going to be all about your dance studio that you had. So firstly, did you always study dance when you were a kid?
When I was a young girl, it came very easy to me. I'm a self-diagnosed, like on the spectrum, I call it, right? I'm just self-diagnosed, where I think that I'm dyslexic. I don't learn conventionally the way other kids learn. And I know that now though, but growing up in the early 80s, that was not talked about. So I was just in the normal quote unquote classes, but struggling. Yet when it came to music, when it came to dance, it came so easily to me. I can count music. I can hear it. I mean, if I could do it all over again, I'd probably go into music. And so as a young girl, that was my outlet. I would beg the teacher, please, can I go outside and choreograph a dance and come back in and perform it for you? And the teachers, Donna, that believed in me, thank God for them, they would allow me to leave for like an hour. And I'm just in the hallway choreographing a dance and then coming back so I don't have to do the tests. And so it always came easily to me. I was in a dance studio. I studied hula, studied Tahitian, ballet, tap, everything. And the moment, when you have those like moments where like, boom, the universe just opens up and it's that Simpsons moment. I think I was 11 years old and I was watching Paula Abdul on the American Music Awards. And I'm sitting down and I looked at her and I literally said out loud, I'm going to open a dance studio. I knew it was like I could see the future. Yeah. And ever since then, I was so lasered in on that. And that's how it began. And I would call myself kind of like a street dancer. I wasn't really classically trained. I went to a dance studio, but it wasn't like, I think the more money you had, the more classically trained you were going to be. But it just came easily to me that way. That's how that started.
When you were talking about how you learn, it reminded me of an episode of Glee where Gwyneth Paltrow was on it, and she actually would dress up in character and sing to her students so they would learn.
Yeah, Donna, like I'm the type, if I go to somebody's website, I'm like, where's the video? Show me, because I'm not going to read all this. I'm never, ever, ever going to read this. I need a video. Also, like when I text people, I will audio text them or send an audio DM. That's just the way my brain is. And it's okay if other people are more, visual. I totally get it. But for me, I'm such an audio person. So that is so cool, that Glee episode. Yeah.
I think that when we look at education, and this is aside to what we're talking about, but it has a lot to do with it. Not everybody is going to learn the same way.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I went to school, I finished high school in the 80s, but everybody does not learn the same way. And I remember one time in my honors American history class, we actually, because we had Schoolhouse Rock, it was a very popular thing. It was still popular
Yeah.
in the 80s, but it was really popular in the 70s. And I remember my junior year in high school, the teacher's like, okay, so for extra credit, if you guys can sing the preamble, because we're all like, oh, we know this already. I'll give it to you. I'll give you guys bonus points. Okay, so the whole class stood up and we sang the preamble because Schoolhouse Rock. So once again, you're there's that musical input to teach.
Yeah, Donna, it's interesting because I'll talk to other parents that are visual learners that like to read. So they assume or want their children to learn the same way they do. So they get very frustrated when they see that their child learns differently. And they're like, oh, homework is so hard. And I'm like, I get it. But I think now, at least 2021, there's more liberty for kids to learn differently. I mean, like I said, back in the 80s, you just shut up. Became a very good actress. I would pretend in class. And even my SATs back in the day, I got a 720. A 720 was like, you're dumb, right? And that was just I think I got 20 points just for putting my name on the thing. But I never told a soul. I got very good at faking it. And I got all my extra credit, like you said. I would get extra credit for doing other things. I knew how to talk. I knew how to do presentations. So my grade was always heavily on the other side rather than tests. And so when I talk to other parents, I'm like, you know what? Everybody learns differently. Here's another thing, Donna. I learned this a couple years ago. I actually perform better when it's last minute. But I was brainwashed to think you're a, what is it called?
Procrastinator.
Yes, girl, procrastinate. Yeah, like, okay, you're a procrastinator and that's a bad thing. Don't procrastinate. So it was brainwashed in me to go, I'm bad, I'm procrastinating. Where actually I do better when I procrastinate and do it right before. And I could do it in 5 minutes where it would take somebody else to do maybe 5 hours. No joke. And I can do it in 5 minutes. And they're like, what? But that's the way my brain works. I can't, but I'm so jealous of you. I can't, really sit down and read a book. So that was interesting.
I get it. I mean, I had a teacher who put that on my report card saying I procrastinate too much. And I was like, what does that mean? And my mom was like, you waste too much time. So for one, I think it was for Easter or something, my mom got me a t-shirt that said destination procrastination. It's like, but and the thing is, I think it's the pressure that motivates you. It's like when you have all the extra time, it's like, well, I'll get it done. But when you have that deadline, it's like, okay, now I have to get serious. I have to focus and I have to do this.
Yes. So my friends with kids, they're like, he's always procrastinating. I'm like, does he perform better? And they're like, yeah, he does. Well, then just let him do it last minute. Because I heard it from my mom all the time. So it was like, oh, I have to hurry up. But now that I've embraced it, it's like a whole new world. And I'm like, this is my superpower because everybody's got a superpower, right? Yeah. So that was kind of cool to have that revelation.
And it's a good revelation to have because I think it's something that, you speaking about it, if somebody else hears it, then they may step back and go, okay, yeah, that's me because I do procrastinate and I do wait to the last minute. And it's always been looked as something taboo and something bad and forbidden and you shouldn't be doing that. When the truth of the matter is, some of us have to. That's how we function. So you were saying before we went off on this little rabbit hole, you were saying that you saw the future and you were going to open a dance studio. So let's take us to the dance studio. When did you open it? How long did you have it? And let's go to the better two then.
Yeah, I was 24 when I opened it and I purchased it from somebody and it literally happened within 2 weeks. I went to college when I was 17, hated it and left. Then I went back because I wanted to be a dancer and I literally wanted to be the next J-Lo. That was really, really what I wanted to do. And then I hated it. So I went back to college and I'm in college and I get a phone call from the guy that owns the studio. And he's like, look, I'm selling it. Do you want it? But if so, I need to know by today. And my whole life changed within 2 weeks. I was open in that dance studio. Now, one business class, and I left my second time in college. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was street smart. I like to call myself like the Jay-Z of business. I just figured it out. I'm a hustler, right? So that's how it started. I was 24 and I lived there. Literally, I had a couch. I would spend the night there. I would just come home and shower and come back. I grinded and I hustled and I built it all the way to 700 students and just
Wow.
by learning. But here's the thing, I got sick. I had bronchitis for a year, just coughing for a year. And I burnt out. When I talk about burnout, I mean, this is burnout. Like if I keep going this way, I will literally die and kill myself. But it was this proving that I had to, because everybody, my mom, my dad, everybody was like, you're crazy. Why are you opening a dance studio? Go to college, get a job, please get married. What's wrong with you? It was like, they were so worried about me. And again, it was like, I had to prove, I'm like, I don't do your life. I don't want to do my life the way you do yours. I'm
Hmm.
totally different. And this was in the 90s, right? I mean, this was not cool to be a business owner. There
No,
was no hashtag girl boss and like little
no.
women's groups. There was nothing. I was like the only female. And so I had that dance studio for about 8 years.
Hmm.
And then I sold it. And one of the person that worked for me, he was a con artist and he purchased the business, and I still was part owner, Donna, and he embezzled $250,000 under our nose
Wow.
in 1 year. We didn't even know what was happening. And then he had the audacity to sue us and me and some employees for $250,000. I mean, that was just one of the,
Yeah.
one of the things in life. And always my other business friends say, well, you're not a business owner until you've been sued. And so that was very interesting to know that I was very naive. I was not watching. I was too trustworthy. I didn't think people could be con artists. I thought everybody on this planet is good. And, that whole story. I lived in La La Land with rainbows and unicorns. And it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, I was not paying attention. And so that's where I am now, living the dance between not being naive and seeing things for what they are and not having a chip on my shoulder. Because after that, it was like more chips started to come onto
Yeah.
my shoulder as like, F the world, F this, F that. And I'm like, God, I don't want to live like that. So that's kind of where I am today. But that was about 10 years ago.
It something like that. When you deal with a con artist, you end up going, well, who can I trust? Trust
Big.
is a big thing after that.
Yeah. Especially, I always had this thing with men. And I was really like, I couldn't trust men again. And I'm going, if this guy, he was so good, like, you always say, oh, I'll know when I see a con artist. Man, I didn't see it coming. Wow. Like I truly trusted everything down to like my accounts. Yeah, that was extremely eye-opening for me. Such a good lesson.
So, when did you decide to officially sell it? Was it after all this, or did you just close it after all this?
After all this, I went back into the business and rebuilt it for 1 year.
Okay.
And if looking at it now, it was to save my name because the dance studio was named after me. And I went back and helped bring it back into black. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I also have this superpower. I didn't know that I could do this. I'm like, I can save businesses. So that was a cool learning lesson as well. After that, then I sold it again because I was still part owner. I sold everything. I was out. And it was such a mess. It was a big mess. And what I realize now is that I was doing it from a very young, I'm going to call it like a girl's point of view. It wasn't a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it wasn't an adult. I felt like such a kid. And then, so I had a second business, which is a fitness studio. And I closed that one last year. And I feel like I did it as an adult. I did it with dignity. It was so different. Where the first one, the dance studio, when I sold it finally, Donna, I ghosted everybody. It was like, I'm out of here. Can you imagine, like your boss, you believed in your boss, you did all this, and all of a sudden she's like, bye. That's like getting an email or a text, right?
Yeah.
That they're breaking up. And I just feel so badly that I did that. But I was in such a place of, like you said, I didn't trust people. I was just like, I'm out of here. And so that I do regret. And so that's been interesting processing that.
Have you talked to anybody that you ghosted back then?
I have not.
Okay.
And I know that they're not happy with me, but they're still kind and nice on paper. But yeah.
Well, that's it. What you said about, when you make a decision in your 20s, there is, and yes, times were totally different. So you had the pressure of, all of us have heard the pressure of, When are you getting married? When are you having kids?
Oh yeah.
I want grandbabies.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know that that is, I mean, I think it's still somewhat prevalent. Women are still getting that, but I don't think they're getting it as much now.
As much as we, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because, back then, if you were a woman and you worked, that was okay. You were supposed to, because that had moved along from the 70s. Before the 70s, no,
Yeah.
good luck. Good luck getting a job.
Pioneer women. Thank you to those women.
Yeah.
We're pioneers.
Yeah. I mean, my mom worked in an office. My mom ended up leaving an office job to eventually become a truck driver and then moved into being a bus driver for Greyhound. But the fact of the matter is she decided, I want to make a change. I don't want to just be a clerical worker. I want to try to make some real money. Yeah. And it wasn't easy. And she actually was she studied dance until she was 17. Wow. So she was 1 year shy of being a teacher.
What a pioneer as well. She was probably one of the only women as a truck driver, right?
At the time there were a few, but yeah, there wasn't a lot. And she was hauling caustic chemicals. And the only reason she had to end up leaving that job is because she ended up getting involved with her trainer and they got married. So she had to end up becoming a bus driver. But before that, she also became a juvenile correction officer, which my mother went from never saying the F word to saying the F word a lot. I was just like, okay.
Oh, God, that's awesome. My whole family is in that industry. They're all correctional officers, a lot of them. Parole officers, yeah, and it's tough.
Yeah, she did it, I think, for about 6 months, and then she's just like, I've had enough. I'm like, okay, well. And I was in high school at the time, so I was in junior, senior year, so some of that stuff rolled back. I mean, she would be like, if you don't straighten up, I'm going to, okay, whatever, Whatever. I wasn't a bad kid, but she, of course, being around that. So now what are you doing?
Here's the truth. I'm like figuring out my life. What do I want to do when I grow up? Here's the thing. I've been in business ever since I was 17. I never worked corporate. I mean, I've always done everything differently. And with the pandemic, I closed my fitness studio, made that choice. And so I have a podcast, I'm coaching, and I produce dance competitions. Okay. So I'm really in a season in my life right now where I'm like, I want it much simpler. Like so simple, so simple, where I can create an event and work part-time and make the same amount of money. I don't have to prove anything anymore. Where before I would prove, I would have like 5 businesses going on at one time. For what reason? To prove, to receive the accolades, to receive all that. So I'm in this season of my life right now where I'm going, okay, this is a new person. This is a whole new way that I am, a whole new Joanna. And so I'm still figuring it out. I'm in my 40s and I'm like, here we go. I'm figuring it out all over again. And that's where I am. And it's interesting because people ask me, what are you doing now? And I really don't have an answer. Well, let's see today. I'm kind of just, yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing. I don't think we all realize this, but we constantly evolve. I mean, when you think back to the 80s, Madonna was constantly evolving and it was always like, wow. But the truth of the matter is we all do. We all do, whether we go from being a mom in some cases, a clerical worker or a dance studio owner, to trying to discover who else we are. And if we are in a relationship, that defines us at a certain point.
Wow.
And I mean, the reason I can say this clearly is, I've been married, divorced, and I am now, I hate this word, widowed. Because I'm single. Let's just be honest. That's what it is. What my heart went through has nothing to do with anybody else. But now I'm a widow. So I have to reinvent myself. I have to learn who I am after 16 years of with being with somebody. Mm-hmm. So we are constantly changing. And when somebody's like, so who are you now?
Yeah.
I'm me.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no words to put to it.
No.
Yeah. And I've come to the awareness of like, I'm going to tell people, well, I'm in a season, I don't know right now. Like, I'm not going to make it up. I want to have a conversation, but I've noticed that people get uncomfortable. They don't lean in and go, wow, tell me about that. They're almost like, oh, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're doing, and they don't know how to react. It's like they need a definitive answer of what I'm doing. And then here's another question I get, Donna. Well, how are you making money? Are you okay? You know, and I'm like, I'm actually better than I was before, because I think I was just in a hamster wheel
Yeah.
of make the money, spend it, make the money, spend it. It was just a distraction for me. And now I have no distractions. So that's like, ooh, I think, you know, the pandemic, like we don't have distractions and we were getting bored. What do we do? Okay, I'm going to drink, I'm going to do something. And there's so less distractions now. I'm like, who the heck am I? Yeah. And I really love how you said Madonna, Lady Gaga, whomever, they reinvent themselves all the time. And we're like, yay. That just like resonated with me. And I'm so in it. Like every time they come out with a new album, we don't want to see them the same.
No. And even Miley Cyrus, she's constantly evolved her image. And the fact is, we accept them to evolve and to change. But yet, as a normal woman, you know, you're not supposed to dress like that over 40. You're not supposed to wear that. You shouldn't be shopping at Torrid. You know, it's like, who the hell are you? I'm going to shop wherever. Most people don't realize I'm as old as I am, so screw them. I mean, I'll be blatant. I'm 53 years old. And if you don't think that, that's fine. That's perfect. I don't care. Age is just a number. And that's the biggest thing I think women have to deal with, and men now somewhat, is labels. That's why we don't understand when you say, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. Well, wait, I need a label. I need to be able to put you in a box.
Oh my, Donna, I was just listening to this on a podcast. It's like, because when we meet people, we put them in a box or we put them in like a bag. So let's say I meet you and I'm like, oh, I like Donna. I'm going to put her in the I like category. Or she's a podcaster. I'm going to put her in the podcast category, rather than here she is. And she just is. She's not. But we do it subconsciously, that we're putting them in little, I like them, or I don't like them, or she said a story that I like, or she didn't say a story I didn't like. I mean, on. And we're distracting ourselves with this. And what if it just is? I love that.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, we change just because today if you're having a bad day, it was another story, it was on TikTok, and you'll appreciate it because it's Paula Abdul. This girl was supposed to do Paula Abdul's nails and I think eyelashes. And she said, because the premise was the rudest celebrity they ever dealt with. Just wait. So Paula was 2 hours late and she was rude. And she was just like, I can't believe that she was this way, because she was supposed to get both appointments back to back and they couldn't do it because of the fact that now she was late. So they do Paula's nails and the girl takes a break while the girl is working with Paula on the other end. She goes next door to the coffee shop and the manager's like, are you okay? And she's like, I'm dealing with Paula and she's just rude and everything else. And she was 2 hours late. She goes, did you ever stop to think why she might be 2 hours late? That something may have happened and she may have a really bad day and that's what's going on. No, she went back in. Paula was better. And she's like, every other time she came in, she was the sweetest person in the world. And that's the thing. I don't think, there's that lasting first impression. And it's an unfortunate thing because, yes, we put them in the box, we put them in the bag, however you want to say it. We have that first impression and we think, oh, that person sucks. I don't want to deal with them. But the fact is, we don't actually look at them with compassion and go, so what's really their story? I walked outside last night and I was I was not in a great mood. And there was a teenage girl standing on my driveway and I just kind of looked at her and I'm sure she thought I was pissed off at her. And it's like, no, I was just not. My back was hurting. I wasn't in a good mood. But people don't always look at that. They'll just go, oh, well, no, look at the bigger picture. That moment in time when you intersect does not necessarily mean that it's going to be wine and roses. So don't just judge somebody by the cover of their book, because there's more to the story inside. Wow, I can't believe I just said that, but anyway.
That's good. Some of my favorite people on this planet are ones that the first time I met them, I did not like them. Some of my favorite ones. If you're on a desert island, you're like, these are the 5 people. And I'm like, and these are the 5 when I met them the first time, I'm like, I don't like them. And I put them in the I don't like pile. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more depth to them. Wow. So that was such a gift for me. to see that and experience it, to go, okay, now when I meet somebody, let's go a little bit deeper. Yeah. And it was normally or usually the story, or they're walking in their shoes. I didn't see for what it was. I was right away, they're rude, or they're not kind, or they're, what I realized, Donna, I was jealous that they were willing to be more of themselves.
Yeah.
Than I was, because, I was putting on a face or whatever it was. I realized that I'm like, I actually was jealous of them, that they were doing XYZ. And I did not choose that. I chose to put on a show where they didn't. And I'm like, that was actually my favorite attribute of them.
And the thing is, we're all taught at a certain age to put that mask on, to be somebody not necessarily genuine. I talked to a lady, one of my first podcasts, and I know her on Facebook. She sees energy, and she has seen energy since she was a kid. And in order to, because she's older than us, in order not to get locked away, because people would think she was crazy, she had to dampen that down and act like everybody else to fit in. Just what you were saying about fitting in and lying. You have to create this persona of who you are because you want to be accepted. And I've come to a big realization about that lately for myself, because it's like, for me, everybody's like, oh, Christmas, the holidays. And it's just kind of like, it's another day.
Yeah.
We are so Christmas is about giving. Sure, it is. But at what point did it become so commercialized? Mm-hmm. And you have to go into debt to make somebody else happy. Mm-hmm. How is, and I can get blasted for it, it's fine. But I think that we really need to step back and appreciate, maybe Christmas should be about the time you spend with somebody.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I was having this conversation the other day. We're talking about how they say now millennials and Gen Zers are they're not going to be as affluent as their parents, meaning they're making less money. And I'm like, is that actually true? Or is that they're just spending more than our parents spent, or that our generation spent? I'm like, so are we using that as an excuse? Because I have some friends that are younger and they're like, man, let's say they're in their 20s. When my parents were my age, they already had a house, they already had this, and I'm in an apartment and I can't even afford it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, is that really true? Is that it? Or it kind of goes back to are we going in debt just so that we can have something that we're not ready yet? Because I think our parents, or at least my generation and my parents, they didn't go into debt. You waited. You didn't buy an $8 Starbucks.
Oh, you mean layaway?
Yeah, layaway, right? Oh, you want it? We're going to do $1 a week until we get that new stove or whatever. But now we put it on a credit card. We can't wait. And it reminded me of what you said about Christmas. It's what's more important is to go into debt and give the gifts. When we were young, we didn't give gifts to everybody. It was like, this is what we have. Here's our budget. And you were lucky if you got something, right?
Yeah.
And you were happy for that. Or grandma's going to get it for you, or we don't have the money. But I think now it's like, no, we're going to give it to you and we'll go into debt because that's more important. So I'm just curious about that. Is that really the truth? Or is it,
there's also some, besides the $8, we weren't major coffee drinkers. We weren't drinking the $8 lattes, which kills me as an author. People will pay, $4 for a coffee, but then if they don't want to pay for a book, it's like, well, the book's going to last you a lot longer than that latte. But anyway, they also have the internet expense. They have the cell phone expense. I mean, there's expenses that we didn't have necessarily when we were growing up, because we didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have, cell phones came in vogue around in the 90s. But for me, I never had a cell phone, not until then. And we definitely didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
And when you went out with your friends, you weren't meeting at the coffee place. You were either hanging at somebody's house or a fast food joint, and things were cheap.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at the step back and look at the bigger picture, they have a lot more expense, plus rents are higher and everything else. Yeah. And when we got a car, if we bought a car, it was usually somebody's beat up piece of POS. And, now it's like, I saw a commercial the other day, I think it's for Subaru, and it was like, make sure your kids have a safe car. And it was like, the warning about looking at the screen, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right. I had a Toyota Corolla that when my stepfather taught me how to parallel park, it had a wooden steering wheel, but it had the covering on it. I got blisters because I was sitting there for 2 hours. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they didn't care. It was like, it runs. It's sound. It runs. Go for it.
Mhm.
But now, you know, so I don't know. I think, and also when you look at that, there's a lot more stress now.
Yes. And are we creating that extra stress though?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Or and I wonder, let's just say if it was 1985 right now and we did have the extra expenses, I think my parents still would have been like, "No, we don't get it. No, we
No.
don't have internet. No, we don't have cable. No." They would have just said no more often. But I think we're more yes people now. Put on credit card. Even though those expenses were there, we didn't go to Disneyland. You didn't do that kind of stuff. At least in my experience, right? So I just wonder if we more are we the yes people now as compared to the no wait.
Well, I think what hurts too is because I started college in the mid to late '80s. You know, the first week you're in college, here's the credit card companies. Hi,
Yeah.
here you go. You have finance, and the thing is, they
You're
don't
like,
prepare. Yeah, they don't prepare you in high school that hey, you're going to deal with this And I love the fact when people will sit there because I've mentioned they should teach necessities in high school. You know, gardening and just basic little necessities. And I had my uncle. He's like, "Well, no, that's the parents' job." And I'm thinking, parents don't have time for that now.
now. Yep. Yep.
They don't have time to sit there. Some of them are working two jobs just to keep a roof over people's heads.
Yep.
So you can't necessarily arrange it so parents can do this.
Mhm.
So you need to look at school as what is really needed.
Yeah.
Your senior year, I mean, I took two classes my senior year. One was home and family living, the other was child development.
Mhm.
Child development, besides learning about crack addicted babies, which now I've studied and it's not really true, was all about planning a kid's birthday party.
What?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, and then home and family living was the big project that the whole class, and was both of these were like one half of the year. The big project in the home and family living was planning a wedding.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to be honest, I took them because I knew they'd be easy A's.
Yeah.
But what did I get from them? Nothing. I did some artwork, which was really cool. And in the child development class, we had a lady come in and match our colors because that's going to be really helpful in child development.
Is the funniest, like so interesting, the 80s. Gosh, the stuff.
Yeah.
I would not even fly today, right?
No, it would not. It's like, really? Yes, and of course, Driver's Ed. Well, I'll go back to Driver's Ed for a second. We had black and white films from the 50s and 60s, like Blood on the Highway.
Yeah.
It's like,
They scared.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think when you look at now versus then, there's just a whole different universe, and that's why. I mean, not to plug my own book, but I will.
Yes.
I write in the 80s. I mean, most of my stuff right now starts in the 80s. One book is set in the 90s, and gradually the story moves to the 90s. But there's just you have such different life experiences back then.
Yes.
I mean, let's go look up something. Well, there's an encyclopedia at the library. You can go research it there.
Mm-hmm. And there was just a paragraph on
Yeah.
it, and that was it. Now you can find article after article, very different. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, because I didn't think, like, the stress is just so much different, because I'm under a lot of stress, and I'm like, I couldn't even imagine if I was 16 right now.
Yeah.
In high school. I'm like, God, this is stressful.
Well, and I mean, before, people could give you the side eye if you were at high school and look at you and go, wow, look at how she's dressed, But now it's like they can bash you on social media. They can ruin your reputation. There are so many things that can happen just by a couple of types on a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Where before it wasn't that way. Mm-hmm. You could get ridiculed at school. You could get bullied at school for what you were wearing. And yes, I did. But the fact of the matter is it stayed there. It may have come home mentally with you, but now it's coming home with you on your phone. Mm-hmm. And how do you stop that? I mean, how do you protect your kids? Yeah. Because the kids are more tech savvy in a lot of cases than the parents. Mm-hmm. Though there was a comedian that I heard yesterday who was talking about how he got his son to set up his iPad. And so his son had set up all the things, and So his wife's phone went to the iPad, and the son's phone went to his iPad, and the dad's phone went to that. So when somebody would send a picture, he would get an alert. So he's looking, and there's a dick pic. And he's like, that's not mine, but who's is my wife having an affair? What the? And he's like, no, I recognize that desk in the background. I put that desk together. So he went and saw his son, and he's like, so son, how does this work? And the son's like, well, I told you, everything goes to the cloud, and then it goes to your thing. And he's like, so how does this work again? He's like, yeah, your stuff goes to the cloud, and then there, okay. And mom's stuff? Yeah, that. And your stuff? Yeah, that's how it works. Then he's like, oh, can I see that? No, you can't. But that's the
fun. Like a little...
son, I think, was in his mid to late teens. He was a comedian, and it may not be true, but still, you can imagine the kid doing that. I mean,
yeah. So, gosh, I couldn't even imagine.
How do you deal with people like that on social media? Because I know you're a woman, and guys don't necessarily get this, but do you get solicited in social media with "Hello, gorgeous, how are you doing? Oh, here's a picture of something you really didn't want to see." How do you deal with that?
What I notice is that if I feed it, even if I say no or do something of that nature, it becomes bigger. So the way I do it is I just ignore it and delete it. And from there, it actually goes away. I do want to go back to, because this is in my,
by all means.
I think, and I wonder, in the animal kingdom, the female species is the most competitive. And I think we think that men are the most competitive, but women are actually the most competitive. And we don't really talk about this, that we are so competitive with each other. You walk into a room, 2, 3, 5, 10 females, any age, you're fighting for whatever it is. So what I see on social media is that it's easier for other women of my age to say something to me or to do something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a woman, you're defaming me. Like, are you serious? Like, in my head, I'm like, we're grown women and you're doing this. Are you serious? And I'm like, we are doing it to each other. We're all over here talking about, oh, this and that. No, we're actually doing it to each other. We're hitting our own glass ceilings. We're capping our own selves as women. But it goes back to the animal kingdom. We are so competitive. And so that's what has been in my world lately. So when you ask me, it's more, I would say, the women.
Well, and I have to say, I have to go back to a lesson I learned in grammar school that I've talked about before. Some girl, I wasn't friends with her. I wasn't even involved in this, but some girls were picking on this other girl. So all the girls got pulled in. I think this is first or second grade. So this is how powerful this lesson was. And the teacher says, boys are like dogs and girls are like cats. And I'm like, she goes, you guys are so catty and tear up everybody that you really need to stop. It's not nice, and you need to be friendly to other people. So it's just kind of, that has always stuck with me in the back of my head. But what you're talking about, this goes back to high school. We all claim that we're out of high school and we're above that. But there's such high, especially on the internet, there's such high school behavior. Did you see what she was wearing? What the hell? Does it matter? Does it matter?
I'm not built like that. Like sometimes I think like I'm so like an alien. I'm not built that way with women. It just like to talk like that. I'm like, I want to have conscious, open conversations and let's talk about things in life. Like the conversation you and I are having right now. I love to have these, I'm at a wedding, I'm at an event, and I'm looking for the people to have those conversations.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I just don't feel like a normal girl that to sit there and talk about mundane things. And I'm not here impugning on those women. I'm going, I'm just not built like that. I'm so not built like that. And I wonder, Donna, if some men actually like that. I think a lot of men like that. They like that in a woman. And I'm going, I'm not that type of dramatic woman. So that has been some like a little record in my, because I've never been married. I have no children. And people think like, what's wrong with you? Are you a lesbian? I mean, I've had everything. And I'm like, I just haven't met the man that is open to a conscious conversation. I think he wants like a
cookie cutter.
Yes, a cookie cutter. Thank you, Donna. And also I kind of think like a Honda compared to a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like they're Hondas. Women, I love you out there, but I'm like the Ferraris out there are like, no, I want another Ferrari. I'm not going to take a Honda engine. Or so yeah, that's been in my universe too lately, because I'm like, okay, I'm getting older. I love men. I want a relationship. I want to create with somebody. And discovering that has been such a journey for me. Whoa, such a journey. And receiving all the judgments from other people, like you said. I mean, there was a time my mom, she really sat me down and she's like, "Are you a lesbian?" I'm like, "No, I don't know, maybe. Who knows? I'm open to it." But
Yeah.
like, no, are you? And then another thing, Donna, I had a guy friend. He said, "Are you the Jennifer Aniston?" I go, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "Well, with my guy friends and I," he's like, "every time we see a great girl, but can never really get a guy, we call her the Jennifer Aniston." Meaning like she had Brad Pitt, she
Yeah.
had this, she's never settling down. So it must be her. There's something wrong with her. Like the Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
She's on it. There must be something wrong with her. And I'm like, whoa, I got so pissed off. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with me. I wanted a Ferrari, and I'm picky, right? I'm like, I could have been married a gazillion times if I would have just settled, and probably divorced a gazillion times. But I'm like, so that's been very intriguing to me. That intrigues me. I'm very interested on the choosing for other people. And I've always chosen not for other people. And having to receive that judgment over and over again, that record player just kind of goes, and it's like, dang, after a while, it's like it gets old.
Well, and that's a lot of people don't recognize that there is that internal recording that just pushes you sometimes, and you're like, okay, I want to stop. I don't want to keep that school of thought anymore. For me, yeah, I got lucky. The first time I got married for all the wrong reasons, and it wasn't that I was pregnant. I've never actually I don't have any biological kids. Do I regret not having kids? Sometimes, but ultimately, the way the world is, not really. But I married my best friend the second time. So that being said, though, going in, I knew he had health issues. So I knew, as you were saying about seeing the future, this was always going to end up where I was going to be without him. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make it any easier. I would lie to us and say, oh, well, you never know, I could get in a car accident. But the truth was, it was already there. So now it's like, now I have to look at, how do I want to trust somebody? I don't want to settle. I mean, I'm happy with my life now. Why do I want to go get entangled? It's not saying that I don't want to meet somebody, but like you're saying, I don't want to settle this time. I want what I want. I want to have a real relationship with somebody who's willing to have an intelligent conversation. That's not going to look at me and say, well, you got a little gray coming in. Screw you. If I want to dye my hair, I'll dye my hair. If I want to have it pink, I'll dye my hair pink. If you don't like it. And the thing about my husband is, and this is where I had to relearn a lot of stuff, my husband was legally blind. So at a certain point, my appearance did not matter to him at all. And can you imagine being in a relationship where your spouse just loves you for you? I mean, that is truly a gift.
Yeah.
Because finding people, even your friends, to love you for you is such a rare commodity. And the one thing I will say is, going through this journey that I've been on, I have found out who my tribe are. I know who my friends are. I know who has my back. And that's something that is a gift every day.
Oh, so good. I can relate to that with the pandemic or other things of know who your people are. That truly got your back. Yeah. Like my back, my front, my left, my right, they got all of it. Yeah. I don't have to say or do something in order to get their love. It's really unconditional. There's no conditions. I don't have to be a certain way.
And I think, one thing you're saying about men, not to bash men, but one thing to say about men is, I look at some of these women that I've met, because I do tarot readings on the side and stuff. And some of the people that I've met during my course of doing this in the last 20, 30 years is the fact that I've run across women that are very much, my husband handles everything. And I look at them and I go, okay, but what happens if something happens to him? You get divorced, whatever. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being that disassociated with what's going on in my life. to not know. And I'd imagine that would be very much the same for you because you're a strong woman. I think strong women, and that's, you have to have a strong man because a man has to be willing not to let his ego or feel emasculated. He has to be strong and tough to be able to handle a strong woman.
That was the biggest takeaway for me. Every guy that I've ever dated, every single one says, "Oh, I love a strong woman. I want a strong woman this time. Oh my God, I love that you're a strong woman." And it sounds all, it's like shiny object. It sounds
Hmm.
fun. And I'm not a demasculator. I'm not like a let me cut your penis off kind of girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, go lift you up. But man, I have noticed that it goes for so long and they're
Hmm.
like, oh, you know what? And their next gal is usually not as strong as I, right? And
Hmm.
let's go back like to the Hondas
Yeah.
and not to impugn on those women. It's going, okay, he chose her. And are you willing, Joanna, to not allow this to like, it keeps just like again, and to receive those judgments from other people. I'm like, I will find him. And I'm dating somebody now, and it's like, oh my gosh, it just keeps getting better, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Similar how you said how you dated your best friend, like
Yeah.
that. And the conversations, it's like, whoa. And, but he's like, he chose marriage very young because he bought into the, you're supposed to do it this way. And
Yeah.
now, like he's saying, I'm now the second time, very similar to your situation. Yeah. So I'm very intrigued by this. Like, I love these conversations to see like why we chose what we chose. And it just, I love this stuff.
I could tell you exactly why I chose what I chose the first time. The first time I was 22 years old. I met my husband. He delivered a TV to me and he moved in with me 3 days later. Yes, insanity, 100%. I was terrified. I was living in Dallas by myself. I was terrified of being alone, which at 22, I look back and go, you're an idiot. And he had 2 kids and I was terrified of being a mom. So I was like, oh, okay. And then once I met his parents, the kids didn't come live with us right away, but once I met his parents and his grandparents, they were all like, "Oh, we prayed for you. You're just this wonderful thing." And I talked to somebody about this not too long ago. It's the fact that you're up on this pedestal. You are on this pedestal. Finally, somebody, you're getting more love than you ever got in your family. So now people are looking at you, and how do you step away from that if once you start feeling overwhelmed? And it's very much you can almost consider it the same feeling on a less scale, a very less scale or minor scale, to being famous, because all that adoration, and when you step off that platform, there's a big crash coming because you're going to let somebody down, and you know this. So you have to step back, and eventually I did. Eventually, it took me 4 years total to step back, but I did. And the hardest thing was giving up the kids. It wasn't giving him up, because when I look at him, and that's something I was going to, you were talking about, the strength of the woman. For me, when I learned how to drive my stepfather back to him, he's like, you're going to learn how to work on a car. You're going to learn how to change your tire. You're going to learn how to do this. You're going to learn how to change your oil. I mean, I could do everything in my car. When I got with my first husband, he wanted to do the brakes. And I'm like, okay, I'll help you. Nope. That's man's work. What? I can do, no. My second husband, I remember going into a store at an auto parts aisle. All these guys are like sitting around trying to figure out what they're doing. I walk down, go to the catalog, pick out what I need, come back down, and my husband's like, I love you.
Yeah.
So you have to find when you have that, dare I say, that masculine energy, because we do, if we really are honest, and that's something that nobody talks about. Men have feminine energy, women have masculine energy, and we don't. No, you're not supposed to, but we do, and we should embrace it because it's true to who we are.
Don, my word, here's my, everybody listening can't see it, but I have my intent bracelet. I choose a word every year, and my word for this year is and.
Okay.
Like, I am everything. I am this and I'm that. So it's interesting. Like, I call myself the binary of people. I'm a bitch and I'm nice. Mm-hmm. I'm ugly and I'm pretty. I mean, I'm all of it. But when you're trying to be one thing all the time, as I did for many, many years, it's exhausting. Let's say everybody thinks of me as nice. That means I have to be nice all the time. The Paula Abdul thing. She has to all the time.
Yeah.
You can never be in a bad mood. What? You have to be the same all the time. I am this and I'm that. I'm this and I'm that. I'm this and I'm that. And it's not even black or white, yin yang. It's 42 things in a circle. It's all of those. So it's not just pretty and ugly. It's pretty. It's I don't know, like devilish, and then it's angelish, and then it's this. Like I tell my girlfriends, like they'll call me sometimes and they're just a fire breathing dragon bitch. And I'm like, cool. Are you willing to be a fire breathing dragon? And they're like, oh my gosh, yes. I didn't think. They called me because they feel shame or guilt or badly because they're a fire breathing dragon. And I'm like, are you willing to be a fire breathing dragon? Then cool. Because I know you're all of it. And that doesn't define you forever, that you're a fire breathing dragon bitch. But you can choose it. You have the choice to choose it anytime, because that's how potent you are. You are so potent, girl. You could pull it out at any moment. But we're taught, no, that's not potency. That's not strength. That's, that's a bad attribute. And I'm here to say, oh, heck no. That's a skill. That's a tool. And I will pull it out if need be. Right. And I could be all of it. And when I learned that, Donna, this was a couple years ago, it set me free. Freedom. And I was like, oh my God, when I learned it, it was like light bulbs went off. Fireworks were in my head. Really? I could be both?
Yeah. I
could be both? Wow. Because I was brainwashed to think you have to be one way forever. And that's it.
The thing is, we are given, it goes back to those labels. We are told to stay in your lane. Do not deviate from your lane. When I was a claim supervisor, and I know people look at this book, and I've never read it. I still own it. And I may have interpreted it wrong, but I remember going into my boss's office and him giving me a book. He's like, I'm not really sure I should give you this book. And I'm like, and thinking to myself, if you're thinking that maybe you shouldn't give me this book, then maybe you shouldn't. So I'm like, just give it to me. He's like, okay. So he hands me the book, and the book was Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. And I know there's a lot of praise about this book, and I have never read it, but when he handed it to me, I was just like, oh, thanks. Okay. And I came home and I told my husband, he goes, well, I'm like, I don't want the corner office. I don't want all that stress. I have enough stress now. I don't want all that stress. But why do you have to be a bitch to get the corner office?
Woo, ding, ding. That's good. Woo.
I mean, that's basically what Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. What is that not saying? You're not going to get that corner office unless you're a bitch.
Oh, I have goosebumps all over. OMG. Yes. That's good. Speechless. That's good.
I mean, and I want to say this because you touched on it, and one of my other guests had a serious health issue because of it. The stress at his job got so bad that he ended up in the hospital. And the fact is, we put so much stress on us because of those labels, because of those things that you have to do it this way. You have to be perfect. You have to. Who am I have toing for? Am I doing it for me, or am I doing it for you? Mm-hmm. My husband, he's like, I always wanted to move around. And I'm like, okay, why didn't you do it? Well, because my parents. I didn't want to go and move out of state because of my parents. Well, guess what? He never got to move out of state. So who are you doing things for? Are you having kids for you? Or are you having kids for somebody else? Who are you having kids for? Who are you getting married for? What is your authentic self?
Oh.
Sorry, this is your you're my guest, and I'm.
This is so. Yes, I think everybody listening to this is such a contribution. If you're listening, oh my gosh, right now, listen 3 times to this because this is so good. Because I chose for me. Mm-hmm. Didn't get married, didn't have children. Not saying that I didn't want children. I just chose. I just knew at that moment, and we're all, like you said, we're always evolving. But at that moment, no, it was a no. It was a no. Okay, no. This is really, really good.
Well, yeah. And I want to say this, and in writing, I do write these happy little fairy tales. And I was talking to another author about this not too long ago. We always blame Disney for creating these false expectations for women. We always want Prince Charming, and yes, I write romance occasionally. Romance novels do the same damn thing. And now it's even more so because now we're describing the manhood of the guy, and it better be more than 6 inches. And it better, you have to go into detail now, because I actually have a book out and they were like, well, I could have had some more description about how he was built. And I'm like, okay. I mean, a guy can't live up to the standards of a romance novel. A guy is not going to sit there and make you come, sorry to be blunt, but a guy is not going to make you come instantaneously. But that's what women want to fantasize about.
Oh, not I. I want it to last long. I want to slow down, brother.
But you get what I'm saying. I mean, it's totally one of those things where we have these false expectations. Once again, we've just taken Disney princesses and moved it to,
Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder what it would create on this planet, on this earth, for us to choose for us. I wonder if I'll ever see that. I think we're getting there.
I think so. Have you seen Sex Life?
No, I've saw it's like topping the Netflix right now, right?
Yes.
Wow.
It actually is based on a book, which doesn't even get mentioned in it, but it's like 44 First Dates. It's based on a story that this lady wrote, that she created a file of all these stories about her ex-lovers, and she put it in there, and her husband reads her file. Well, the TV show is very different than that, but ultimately it's about a woman making her choice. It's written for a woman. The sex is great. It's all from a woman's perspective. She's fantasizing about an ex-lover, but it does bring up the question of who would you choose? And there's certain things, I can't really get into it because then I'll spoil things, but you have to look at the husband's behavior and go, why are you staying with him? So I think it depends on what you're looking for as a show. Episode 3 is an impressive male attribute, but I enjoyed it. It was a different take, and I know how I would have chose, but I'm Team Brad, but
Is Brad in the show, or is this like
Brad is a guy in the show? Yes, Brad is a guy in the show. Yeah, so
okay.
But it's just one of those things where it's like you're taking that, and she's making a choice at the end of the episode, at the end of the series or season. She makes a choice, and I think that's important, that we need to, as women, to start looking at the expectations of what we want in a life. What can we have? What do we need? What do we want? And I think that's important.
Donna, do you think that women, we think we're choosing for us? We're just unconscious zombies and we're really not? Because I think we are. Yeah,
I think sometimes it's a very fine line we walk. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where you can, and I'm sure you've had this experience in your life with people that somebody can tell you an idea that's close. A close friend can tell you something and say, well, maybe you should try this. And you hear it, but it doesn't necessarily resonate. And then a stranger says something, the exact same thing. And you're like, oh, wow. And then you go back and your friend's like, but I told you that. Yeah. I think on a certain level, part of us, and it goes back to your con man story too, on a certain level, especially when we're younger, we want to believe in the good. We want to believe in the honesty. We want to believe that this is going to be our happily ever after, because we watched our parents maybe go through a divorce. We want this to be perfect. And the big problem is nothing is ever perfect. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care if you have the best house, best car. There's still problems. And the same thing with, you can move around all you want, which I've done. But the fact of the matter is, you always take you with you. So unless you are learning about who you are and willing to dive deep, you're still going to have some of the same problems.
I am the common denominator. Oh, I think that was the biggest aha. My takeaway in my 30s was, I pointed. In my 20s, I pointed. It's you, it's my employees, it's this employee, it's that client, it's this customer, it's that guy. And then my 30s, I'm going, oh, I think it's me. And then, so that was that. And now my 40s, like I said, it's like a whole new season and journey going, okay, knowing that, discovering that, being aware of that. And now what can I choose? But
Right.
before I used to choose from what everybody else did, and they need to change. I don't need to change. But exactly what you said, because I kept leaving businesses or leaving men or leaving whatever. And I kept repeating the same things. And I'm going, oh, wait, am I choosing those people? No, I'm creating this drama because I'm bored, because it's a distraction. And going back to, like I said, when I was a young girl and how what my brain thought,
Mm-hmm.
I can do 42,000 things at once. So when I get bored, I create stuff. I create just stupid things in my life. Like I was saying, right now, there's no distractions. And it's real uneasy for me because I need distractions so that I don't create drama, or I'll create more drama. And so that's learning that, going, okay, how do I not create drama without the distractions and just be?
Well, and sometimes creating those dramas, it's the familiar feeling that you need. You need to have that familiar feeling. It's, I think, why we're drawn to some people that we know straight off the bat, they're not good news. We should not be around them. But it's like, oh, but we started a conversation and everything just clicked and everything felt right. And now, in my 50s, I'm sitting here looking at, well, did you ever think maybe it felt right because this is a person that is very similar to somebody in your past that actually screwed you over? Did you ever think that?
Yeah.
That sometimes the one thing about life, and I think most of us forget, is it's very cyclic. We will think we have something beat. It's the same thing with addiction. It's the same thing with any kind of our vices, that it comes back around and we're like, oh, we got it beat. Yeah, no, it's in a different guise, and you can fall prey. You have to be consciously aware that, okay, I'm not going to fall for this time. I have to step back. I have to take a moment.
Kind of thought of like an alcoholic, and
Yeah.
some of them, I can't even have one drink because once I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't realize that self-esteem, emotional turmoil can be very much like an addiction. We are born, I don't want to say we're born that way, but we have been bred that way. If you had a parent that was an alcoholic or an overeater, you watched how they dealt with their problems. You watched how they sought out comfort. And I think that's something that we need to work and move past. I really do.
Absolutely. I was thinking about all the TV shows that are right on demand, Netflix, Hulu. I've had this conversation many times. I'll ask people, name me a comedy right now that's out. There's not many comedies. Most of the shows are dark. Most of them. They're just darker, or they're this, and they're not feel goods.
Well, even comedies now are dramedies.
Woo! Amen to that. They're not really they're not feel good comedies. No. And I think of like the Forrest Gump movies, those like just feel good. Where are those? And I know the writers are like, well, we don't write them because nobody wants it. Like you said, we're being bred to be addicted to like the ugly.
Well, look, let's go to the Hunger Games for a second. We had all this dark dystopian future, and everybody's like, oh, dark dystopian future. Have you looked at the McDonald's as you're driving by now? That is now a gray box. That used to be a red brick and unhappy and golden arches. And now and then not only that, Taco Bell has now gone to the blue or purple and gray.
Yeah. Interesting.
So did this all happen because we were embracing the dystopia and we were all in love with the dystopia?
Huh. Wow. And it's happening right under our noses. We're like zombies and we don't even know what's happening.
Well, that's the thing. We get so much information constantly that how do you disseminate? How do you stop? And since you're talking about your mind being so going all the time, that happens to me. I mean, I wake up, if I open my eyes, as soon as I open my eyes, one of my characters will start, hey, I got something for you. Ooh. And it's like, okay, I want to go back to sleep. Nope.
I love that.
It's good, but it's bad.
Yes.
So
I know, because you were talking about tarot cards and your friend that could see energy. I'm like, that's a whole other show because I have the same. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they can find you on the Get Up Girl podcast.
Yes, the Get Up Girl podcast. I talk a lot about these things that I was talking about, how to get back up, unconventional tools and tips that we're not really taught. Like, how do you actually get back up? Not getting back up with like the different energy. So
that's awesome. I used to have my mom, she would sit there and tell me I could do anything I want to put my mind to. Isn't that a positive statement? But then she'd turn around and say, one day you're going to fall flat on your face. and I hope I'm there to see it. So mixed messages. So I think I think that you doing that, being able to give positive messages and help people learn how to get back up is a very empowering thing. I'll put a link for your show, and I guess I should wrap it up because it's a little over an hour and we've been talking. I could talk to you a lot longer. So thanks guys for tuning in to the Better 2 podcast. Your listenership is greatly appreciated. If you like what you hear, remember to hit subscribe. We also have our videos on YouTube. They're usually posted the same day as the podcast, and you should check it out. If you have a question or you would like to be a guest on the show, please drop me an email, and I'll be glad to talk to you about it. The email is Dauna, D-A-U-N-A, at thebetter2podcast.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and catch you next time.